Well, let's go. Let's get going here. So last week was Christmas already.
Yeah, best time of the year.
Is it?
Always.
What's so great about it?
I think I stayed home for like 6 days in a row, and I was in my pajamas most of those days. Downtime. And seeing my kids, get excited about the presents that they open and time with family and just moments where I realize that I'm doing okay as a parent, meaning like my kids get excited about the gifts, but they know that that's not what Christmas is all about. And it was fun to observe it all. How about you?
It was super relaxing.
Yeah.
I wasn't here. I haven't been here for a week.
I know.
I almost forgot what it looked like.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. It looks the same.
It does.
The messes are still here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is our last podcast of the year.
Yep.
And in a couple days is New Year's. A new year.
Are you raging? Going big?
No.
Me either.
No. What about you? Nothing?
We'll be down with Matt's family in LA. So another Christmas and more downtime, which I love.
Right. I was thinking, and I was talking to you about this last week, about a lot of people are starting to post New Year, New Me. And it got me thinking.
Okay.
Why do people feel that they need to have a new them only if it's a new year?
Well, so the interesting thing about that, and I've said this in years past, is, you go from one day, December 31st to January 1st. No different than like July 7th to July 8th. But, and so from that perspective, sometimes I get annoyed because I'm like, it's just another day. But at the same time, I think there's something to be said about finishing off a month, finishing off a quarter, finishing off a year, and being able to just mentally reset. And so if this is what is needed for the world and or even a single individual to say, okay, I probably need to look at my habits. I need to look at the things that I've done, what the benefit of those things were, maybe how it failed me, and what I need to do differently, then, so be it. I think it's good to reset.
No, I think it's always good to reset, right? But why do we get attached to a calendar item with giving us permission to reset? Right?
Yeah, because a calendar is a system. You may not want the answer, but a
I
calendar is a system.
I like where you're going with that.
Yeah.
Okay. So what do you mean by that? By system?
Well, we don't dictate what our calendar looks like. That system was put in place years before we showed up on this earth. And now we just follow it. The entire universe follows it. Restaurants are open from, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. for a reason. It's not like they're going to, say, hey, come on in and eat at 3 a.m. unless it's, chicken and waffles near a party city. So my point is, like, there are these pre-designed systems that are meant to support us, I think.
Right, but yes, 100% agree. And here at the More Real Estate Group, we have a lot of systems and standards.
No doubt.
Right?
Yeah.
But what if there wasn't a January 1st?
Okay.
Right? What keeps us attached to those standards and those systems? It has to be something else.
No, I don't agree. But, like, let's say there was no calendar and we all just woke up never knowing what day it was. We'd probably naturally know what time it was because we'd be tired every day at some point.
True.
But otherwise, if there was no calendar, there's a number of other layers that you could add into that. What if there were no coaches? Like, I don't stay attached to my goals because of a calendar. I also stay attached to them because of my environment.
Okay. And?
Here at the team, we have an environment, right? We're an in-person environment, contrary to what most real estate teams and brokerages are operating as these days. We feel like there's a greater sense of belonging and attachment and commitment to a specific result that gives someone a life by design by having standards around our environment. what we show up and do. We start every morning with a huddle. We have team meetings on Mondays. We have, core on Thursdays. We have designated time where we should be plugging into the business versus on the business. And so I guess when I'm referring to environment, a lot of us have then also gone on to hire coaches because I will always be more accountable to someone else than I will be to myself. So it's not just the calendar. It is one of the many support systems. But if you got rid of the calendar, I think those that are hungry to live their best life also create a bunker or create an environment, which sometimes includes an office like ours. It also might include relationships. It also might include paid coaches. It also may include, paid training programs, et cetera, et cetera. So a calendar is just one layer of it.
I think that's the direction I was thinking, right? It's like someone with super high standards and a high performer doesn't wait to feel ready.
Yeah.
Right? They don't wait for January 1st to make a move or to make a decision or to say, this is when I'm going to give it 3 more months to the new year.
Right.
Before I make this decision.
Yeah. Or before I try harder or do better or learn something new.
Well, it's just another handicap I think that society gives us.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I think that's fair.
And so having said that, I do think, Shelby, that the new year is a good time to reflect.
Yeah.
Right? Like we're measured on yearly metrics.
Yeah.
Here in our group, we're measured on yearly metrics.
Well, and okay, you could take that one step further. What if there was this thing called a marathon, but it had no finish line?
Right.
No, people wouldn't be as disciplined. I say disciplined versus motivated.
Sure.
To run that race if they didn't know whether there was a finish line. No one's just going to run in perpetuity forever and ever and ever. Our human nature is designed such so that we can accomplish things, achieve things, reset. No one's going to run a marathon without a finish line.
And at the same time, oftentimes I think we measure ourselves on these false finish lines.
Oh, certainly.
Right?
Yeah.
False finish line is like, we're number 1 for the month, but day 1 of the month, everyone starts back at 0.
Yeah. Well, okay, now you're going to go down another rabbit hole for me. About to get on my soapbox. You ready?
Yes. If I was really creative, I'd put like a soapbox up on the screen right now.
Yeah.
A view on a soapbox, but
that's fair.
maybe in post edit we'll throw that in.
I'm not sure that the podcast universe knows about me and my soapboxes. It simply just means something that I'm passionate about.
They're about to find out.
Yeah.
You're all about to find out.
Yeah. I just think that you should never wake up on the first of a month or a quarter or a year and go, gosh, I hope I'm successful. Strategy is not rooted in hope. Strategy is rooted in plans, strategies, schedule, right? That gives you predictability, that gives you peace in what's coming versus feeling like you have to wake up in panic mode every Monday or every first of the month. That's a cycle that will lead to burnout.
Okay. So in real estate, there's a lot of people who's burn out in real estate.
Yeah, sure.
Right? But in your assessment, in your experience, in your leadership, what is it exactly that leads them to burnout? Because a lot of the real estate agents who are burnt out, they don't close a lot of homes a year, but they're burned out.
Yeah, for sure. But that could be the case with any business. Let's kind of look at it from a 30,000 foot view.
Okay.
This isn't just about burnout as a realtor or a team or a company. This is about industry. And what I mean by that is entrepreneurs do what they do initially out of desire. Right? Like how many restaurants fail? I don't know what the statistic is, but it's exceptionally higher than any of us would want.
Would you be interested in what that statistic is?
Perhaps you could find that stat.
Keep talking.
Okay. So, and restaurants is not it's not limited to that industry, but entrepreneurs generate, grow, build, create businesses out of desire, meaning I'm a good cook. I love food. I can cook for big parties. I should start a restaurant. Okay. But not all restaurant owners have an MBA.
100%.
Which means that they probably don't know how to grow. Well, let's call it launch and or grow or scale a restaurant. So a lot of them fail.
Oh, and by the way, most stats say about 90% of restaurants fail.
90%.
90%. And if you go for year one, it's 14 to 30% fail the first year.
Okay.
50% fail by year 5.
Okay.
And if you last after 5 years, you're in the top 1%.
Okay. So take that subset. Like we were talking about real estate agents burning out, right? But take restaurant owners. If you got that audience into a room and you said, hey, raise your hand if you've ever burnt out, I guarantee you most of the room would raise their hands. We are entrepreneurs, which is an incredible task. No necessarily more difficult than being on a different track, just different. And so we have to set up our own agendas, our own plans, our own strategies, because burnout comes from running and chasing your tail without knowing whether you're getting to your desired outcome. I do believe there are some people who succeed despite a schedule or a strategy or a plan or a calendar or a coach. But I do believe that everybody has a ceiling at which they're going to have to do something different at some point or they will burn out.
I think what happens a lot of times, and we saw this back in like the hobby, if you have a hobby,
Sure.
and then you're like, I can make money on this, you're probably really good at that hobby, but you're probably really bad at running a business.
Well, not necessarily.
Well, let me give you an example. There's a lot of people. A lot of people about 15 years ago got into like the home brew industry, where their beer was really good, and everyone was like, "You got to make a business out of this, right?" But a lot of them didn't last very long because they didn't really have any business sense. And that goes back into something that we've learned a couple of years ago, is that oftentimes we are not the most qualified person to run our business.
Sure.
Right? And so to your point with restaurants, I'm going to take this to like the medical field. Person goes to medical school.
Sure.
Right? We'll say, and for this example, we'll say it's a male.
Okay.
Goes to medical school, decides to open up a practice, doesn't want to hire an office manager, so they hire a friend or a spouse or a girlfriend or a cousin to be the office manager. And a lot of times when that happens, that person's not the right person for that role, but they're just filling a gap. And then what happens is it gets a terrible reputation. It gets bad reviews, and then people don't want to go back to that practice, right? So in another non-medical business world, how could, like, if you were to kind of come in with your magic wand and fix that, what like first thing would you do?
Well, I think there's a playbook for how to run any business. I don't care what your product is. In the example you gave, the product is really the physician and his ability to attract clientele. I'm going to come back to that in just a moment, but meaning like people have to want to work with him.
Right.
If it's a female doctor, people have to want to work with her.
Right.
People who do not have a lot of knowledge or a good bedside manner don't typically have a full practice. Can we agree on that? Okay. So let's say that their likability is high and that they have a lot of knowledge, and so people feel like they're actually getting the help that they came for when they show up. Well, that's just one part of like the magic wand of what they would need, is like you have to be someone that people want to work with. I still believe that we're in a people business. I don't care whether you're a physician, a realtor, a restaurant owner. You have to be, I always have a better experience. In fact, I was in Nevada City on Saturday night, and someone asked me, what did you like best about the restaurant? And I said that the owner of the restaurant came around and checked on us twice. And he was great to my kids. Right? Like that stands out just as much as my exceptional food, which by the way was exceptional.
Where was it? Give the plug.
Yeah, it was at Friar Tuck's
Okay.
in downtown Nevada City. And it was so good. But like the very first thing that came to mind is how we were treated by the people,
100%.
right? One of the guys that was coming around and filling up our water, by the way, he noticed when our water was low. He was always there when it was time to fill up our water. Like if our glass had gotten to like half full, he was there. But he asked my kids like, hey, how are your grades? And I was like, wow, he's engaging with my kids. And he said, you know, make sure that you still apply yourself in school while you have time. Like that was just the water kid, right? So my point is you have to be a business where people want to show up. That is the first domino. The second domino would be a number of things. It could be, you know, the resources that you point people to such that they get the results that they want. But then at some point in time, it's going to be the systems. At some point in time, it's going to be the service. And usually the service is through people, not through you, to your point. Because we own our business, but we don't run our business. We're just one layer of running our business. We have staff that runs our business. And without them, we aren't able to give the service and provide the outcomes that our clients would want. At some point in time, we'd be tapped out where we wouldn't be able to serve more people. But we can serve more people because of the quality of the people inside of our business. So that would be another layer that would be part of the magic wand. Like there has to be a playbook, right? A simplified playbook. And I think that most people overcomplicate things too. And so business owners as a whole, regardless of what industry you're in, really need to follow a protocol. And most people don't have that because most people haven't gone to business school. You know, I was majoring in business in college, but that by no means taught me how to run a business. What has taught me how to run a business is being part of 2 companies that have been ranked in the top 25 training companies.
So back to Friar Tuck. And look, 2 things I want to talk about that.
Yeah.
One is the experience.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And then number 2 is how do you scale an experience? Because you mentioned the owner went around and checked on you and made you want to go back. Regardless if the food was good or not, you're like, the experience was great. We want to come back because we felt heard, we felt cared about. Yeah. Right? We feel good. The owner made us feel good.
Okay, but I have an aha.
Okay.
I actually don't know if he was the owner.
Okay. Well, what made you say that then?
He could have been the manager. I don't know. I didn't ask him, hey, do you own this place?
Sure.
But he was an exceptional representation of the brand.
He was a leader.
He was a leader.
Right.
Could have been the owner.
So
no idea.
What if he was just the dishwasher or the busboy, and he still made you feel like that?
I think every single person you hire in a business should be a leader.
100%. And so we say that we hire leaders here at the More Real Estate Group, and every person in this building has a role, right? It's like when I think I talked about this before. When you go to In-N-Out, right?
What you expect.
What do you expect? Like there's 100 people working every shift at In-N-Out Burger.
Yeah.
And they all have one job.
Yeah.
Same thing as Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
But other restaurants don't do that. And so, but their mission is to make you feel good, right? Their mission is to an experience. And so Friar Tuck and other restaurants do that at a super high level. Why do people not take that playbook and say, this is what made them successful, this is what I need to do?
I mean, we've had some recent experience with a business owner who didn't quite take ownership of their business the way that you and I would. I think there's some nature and I think there's some nurture, Ricky.
Well, I mean, you know, Gary Keller wrote a book called The MREA Millionaire Real Estate Agent.
Yep.
And in there, there's a line that I remember. And for those who are experts in watching or listening, I'm probably going to mess it up, but essentially it's something like this. People aren't loyal to you. They're loyal to the services that you provide.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that essentially doesn't mean product, but how do you feel after that experience is done?
Experience with them.
Right.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of people who do a lot of products, but how do you feel after you're done with that? And do you feel it was a good experience, a win-win? Was there check-ins? Did you feel it was done right? And did they hear you if there was a speed bump? You know, studies show, Shelby, that you're more likely to give a raving review or raving testimonial or raving impact story around a product or service or an experience if there were speed bumps along the way.
Sure.
Right? If there were speed bumps in the transaction or speed bumps in the process or speed bumps in the at the restaurant, and then someone came in and put their stamp and said, we're going to fix this and make it right, you're more willing to give a higher review if that happens.
No doubt. And come back.
And
again.
come back. Sure. Repeat and referral business.
Yeah. So, in real estate, let's get back to our industry for a moment here. They say 74% of consumers would use their agent again, but only 11% do. Well, I don't think our job as realtors is to just make sure that they wind up with a product. Product meaning they're a buyer, they bought a house. They're a seller, they sold a house. Like, that's movement of the product. I don't think that that's our job as realtors. That is the type of realtor that probably doesn't get a lot of repeat business. The type of realtor that does get repeat business is the Friar Tuck experience, right? They feel cared for, they feel seen, they feel listened to, they were given attention, they got the product they came for, and they want to remain in relationship even after it closes or you've been fed or whatever it is and you leave that experience. There's multiple books about
but here's the thing. So if we're going, if those who are listening and they say like the first 2 to 3 weeks of the year, if you set a goal and you're stuck to the goal of starting January 1st, they say that the first 2 or 3 weeks, most people fail, like 90% of them fail out of that goal already. First 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, by like January 17th or something. There's like a date.
Right around January 16th, which is the failure's birthday.
Interesting.
I know, right?
It's your birthday.
It's a failure's birthday.
Does that make you a failure?
I'm 100% proud of it. So here's my thought then. If we are talking about gaps in businesses, and we opened up by talking about January 1st being a reset for many that we fall into, including ourselves in some ways. What happens on January 17th or 18th when we feel already behind? We feel like we've fallen off track. How do we get back on track? How do we recognize getting back on track? And how do we get back on track super quick?
Well, I guess my first question would be did they have a plan going into it, or were they just hoping that they would know what to do to achieve their goal?
Well, let's say they had a plan.
Okay.
Right?
Yep. Do they have a review process as part of their plan? Or did they just fill it out in Q4, which is what most of us do, and then look at it the first day when they got started and detach from it?
What do you mean review plan?
Do they have a review process? Like, we can all put together a business plan at the end of the year for the following year.
Sure.
What is the cadence? To use a simpler word, what is the routine behind the review of that plan? Are they just proud of the document that they put it on? Or do they use it as a tool? Because there's a difference between a report and a tool.
Tell me more.
Okay. So I can pull our reports at the end of the month. If I just look at it and go, oh, it's just a report. Goes in the circular file and you move on. If I look at it and I say, hey, let's talk about 2025 or Q4 or December, and we create strategies from it, and then we have a review process in place, let's call it a weekly meeting or a month-end review or a quarterly business review like we do, or a mid-year review like we do, or a planning advance like we do, then you have a support system behind your plan. It goes back to systems. Then it's a tool.
Right. And it's true that everyone gets off track.
No
by the
doubt.
way. So this isn't pointing
100%.
fingers. This isn't saying like we're better because we get off track. We get off track.
Yep.
Right? Everyone gets off track. But I would say that the difference between successful people, no matter what your definition is as success, and someone who gets close to their goals, other than just building new habits, is they recover faster.
Okay. So do you remember me talking about that? There was a gal. She was wearing a red suit. I'll never forget that. At family reunion 2-3 years ago. I don't even really remember when it was. And she was a female sports agent, and she was talking about sort of the things that she's had to overcome in a very male-dominated industry.
Totally remember that.
And she said that one of the greatest lessons that she had learned, and this hit me harder than I'd like to admit, is that those that succeed at the highest level recover the fastest. That sucks for people like me because I always go back to the fight or flight mentality, and I am wired to flight. Like if I feel any type of negative emotion, and we could name those for a whole hour, I want to withdraw. I want to go to bed. I want to walk away from people or, right? So it hit me because there are a certain amount of people that are certainly wired to just get up and keep going, but that's not the majority. And so, I think that that's one of the things behind the success formula. Like, is there one formula for success? No. But I would hope it's always learning from people who've gone before us and have suffered ahead of us. Right. That enables us. And by the way, that's what makes a report a tool is like, it's a conversation that it creates to help us get better.
Mm-hmm. Right. And that same person, I think, said a setback is just a setup.
Yeah.
Right. And so what is it though? How could we, that tracking and numbers and getting back is critical for reaching your goal, and then being disciplined around that and consistent around whatever you're doing, even if it's hard one day, even if it's the little step, baby steps are still steps.
And then also embracing accountability, which most of us don't either.
Right. So that's where I want to go, because I think that once we start to feel a little bit behind, we start to feel shame.
Yeah.
Right? Which then equates feeling stuck, which then equates feeling like a failure. That means, you know what, that wasn't really important to me like I thought it was. Or if it was important to you, you've maybe told everyone about it, and then you feel like you can't go back there because then you're just going to be measured again on the next failure.
Yeah, I think that's natural.
But for a mature, successful person, like, okay, the other night, Brock Purdy, and this was a 49er football game. 49ers and the Bears, okay? They had this game, and Brock Purdy and the 49ers, they were like two of the best teams. And we only got 2 games left before we go into the playoffs, and the order of the playoffs and who's playing who is still undecided because those top 5-6 teams are so close. And so the Bears and the 49ers were like tied, like in their record. And so this is a huge game.
Okay.
And Brock Purdy's the quarterback of the 49ers. Okay. His very first throw of the game, the very first possession of the game, interception. Okay.
Yeah. Some would argue that that's not a great start.
Not a great start.
Yeah.
Right? However, it didn't hold him back. Didn't keep him down. He bounced back, having like 5 touchdowns, like 1 trillion yards, and they won the game, right, by 4 points. In the very last play of the game, by the way, right? So you have someone like that who has tons of resiliency, right? They're super resilient. They're gritty. They're focused on the next play. Like, is he always been like that?
I doubt it.
Right.
Yeah.
And so how do you accelerate that?
Yeah. Okay. So I would say, just like I was alluding to before, I think part of the success formula is learning from people who've gone ahead of us. So, we talk commonly about your kids and their sports and my kids and their sports, and how I'm always trying to teach my kids lessons that I wish I would have grasped at their age. Right. Because if your son or my son goes up and swings a bat and strikes out,
totally,
what's their natural reaction?
I suck.
Yeah. Does it sometimes affect their ability to continue to play?
Almost all the time at that level.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There's always that one-off kid, though, who's just like a little mini machine, right? Yeah. There's always that kid.
Yeah. But at the same time, like, okay, does it crush my soul when my 11-year-old allows that moment where he's struck out to define the way he shows up for the rest of the game? Of course it does.
Right.
But I also don't want my son to be a machine. Like, it's okay to feel things. We just have to teach people that failure is part of success. We just have to learn from those things. And so I would guarantee you that if you took Brock Purdy aside and interviewed him, he wouldn't say that, he didn't lose his soul when he struck out as a young kid, or when there was an interception as a young kid. He had to learn it too.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, so, so moving along real quick, basically what we're saying is momentum isn't about never falling off, right? It's about how you reenter the game.
Yeah.
Right? It's how you show up after the fall.
Which is probably one of the hardest things to do, because we have to leverage our will. And our will wants to shut down. Our will doesn't want to proceed.
Totally.
Yeah.
I was writing about this earlier today about failure, and a lot of times we eat that failure because we care so much, right? We eat it. We live with it because we care about the outcome so much, and oftentimes, and particularly in real estate, a lot of times we care about the outcome more so than our clients in some ways, right? And I don't mean by commission breath. I mean by they hired us to do something, and we want to get them to the finish line so that we feel that we were helpful, right? And when and most times when that doesn't happen, it's something that has nothing to do with us. And understanding that is critical, right? Other people have their own biases. Other people have their own motives. Other people have their own ways of doing stuff that sometimes they're so stuck in the old ways, or their ways they did before was successful, they're stuck there. And like we talk about in our huddles, and a lot of times we say what got us here won't get us there, right? And so when others don't realize that, that's not our fault. And we need to move on quickly from that so that we can focus on someone else who cares about our product, who cares about our value, who cares about us equally as much as we care about them and their product and their results and their goals.
Every transaction, every football game, every meal that's served, again, I'm going to go back to like broader scale, right? Doesn't succeed.
Right.
But no one ever shows up knowing they're going to win every time.
Would you agree that your environment is a accelerator?
No doubt.
Right.
I alluded to that earlier.
Yeah. Right. And so it could have been an accelerator for Brock the other night.
Yeah.
Right. He can feel super upset and depressed. He gets off, and people say, "Get over. You're good to go. Let's go." Right. It could be in a team member where they have a transaction that fails, or someone's having a bad day. They come into an environment, and that can totally switch to just like that. Right. And so what do we do specifically at the More Real Estate Group to accelerate people's outcomes based on our environment?
I'm going to be really boring. And my answer is going to be pretty one-dimensional.
Success is boring, though, behind the scenes.
Yeah. Which is that we have systems set up to create outcomes. Now, the people still have to participate in that, but everything we do on this team, it's like our conversation with Ken this morning, right? He has loved getting to witness what he called a well-oiled machine. I don't know that we're a well-oiled machine. I think we have a lot of imperfections and holes that we're always trying to address. But we do have a system that's set up to succeed here. But it's not just the systems, it's also the people. Number one, you have to select the right people, be in business with the right people, attach people to systems to succeed, and then be there so that when they fail, because we all do along the way, that we're a sounding board to help them become more resilient. Right? Like, I'd like to think of us as like a trampoline, if you will. Like, it doesn't mean that you won't fall down, but environment is also the people that are here to help you bounce back.
100%.
Yeah.
So it's like some environments tolerate drift. Right?
Sure.
Some environments will tolerate that mediocrity. Some environments will tolerate a little bit more of a leash on their standards,
Yeah.
whereas others are focused on correcting it every single day and recognizing it every single day.
Yeah, I mean,
And filling that gap every single day.
I don't love the word mediocrity.
I know you
I'll tell
don't.
you why.
Okay, I know you don't.
I haven't ever explained it.
Okay.
Let me tell you why I don't like
explain it live.
Okay. I think that one person's success might look like mediocrity to another person. I think the quickest way to not achieve a goal is if it's rooted in someone else's expectations.
Mm-hmm.
So what I mean by that is, some people want to, let's use real estate as a guide, sell 12 homes a year. Some people in our industry want to sell less than that.
Totally.
Some people want to sell 50. Some teams want to do 300 or 700 or 1,200. And I don't think any of that is right or wrong. And so to me, mediocrity might look like someone who wants to sell 4 or 6 homes. Or to you, it might look like someone who wants to sell 8 or 12 homes, but that might be their life by design, right? So I hear you. I agree that there are standards for people who want the greatest outcomes.
There's no judgment when I say mediocrity around those who choose that life, right? Like I used to be in that when I was new, I'd be like, if I can do this, anyone can do this, right?
Yeah.
And then I'd be really frustrated at those who were capping themselves out and thinking that they can do more.
Sure.
I don't think that's necessary, and that's not even what everyone wants. That's not going to give them a life by design if they're just going to work their tails off all the time and have no fulfillment, no life worth living.
Yeah.
I'm more referring to mediocre, where you have all this potential and you say you want it, but your willings don't match your wants. Okay, and then that ends up automatically creating a mediocre life for them, with a mediocre car, mediocre house, mediocre food, mediocre health, because of their choices.
Sure.
And it's oftentimes, I think, rooted in how they think.
I think it could be rooted in even more than that. And when you say your willings don't match your wants, I love how we always quote Jordan, because he just drops these golden gems that come back to the surface so often. Yeah, I mean, I think that the disconnect is, when your willings don't match your wants, it's another definition for integrity. Like you say you want something, but you're not willing to do what's required to get that. So my question then would be, yes, the way someone thinks is part of the foundation of what's inhibiting that person from doing what's required.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where environment comes back into play, right? Because we should all want to change the way we think to become healthier mentally, emotionally, physically, etc. And we all struggle with different things. But I also think that sometimes it's because they need to be given permission to want something different than what's expected. Mm-hmm. And that's okay. Because I think the goal in someone's life should be to achieve their potential. Like when you're using all the gifts that the Lord's given you, that's maximizing your potential. That's what all of our goals should be. Mm-hmm. Is maximizing our potential based on who we were created to be and what we were created to do with our time.
I think that's great. Speaking of time, we only got about 5 minutes left.
Noted.
And we are coming off of our best December ever as the More Real Estate Group.
It was,
or at least one of them.
Yeah, no doubt it was. Yeah, could be potentially our best.
Right.
One of the best.
And so as we kind of went through systems, models, accountability, culture, environment, consumer experience, all this stuff we laid out. Mm-hmm. What one stands out that potentially gave us the best December we've ever had, where others might be struggling during December? right? Or maybe on purpose because they took the time off because it's the holidays and we get it. Christmas is busy. But our team kind of stepped up. I think a lot of times the end of the year is an excuse to kind of ramp down and kind of settle down and kind of close out. And we're ramping up for the new year, right? We're going into it. And by all means, if you know behind the scenes in the More Real Estate Group, we've had a lot of distractions this last 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Right? And that didn't stop us. That didn't stop our people. It didn't stop people like Katie and Gina and Sam and Andrea, who's new, and Cameron, who's driving 20,000 miles a day, right? And so it's like all of our people are stepping up as others are stepping back.
Well, I would say that the answer to that is rooted in our cadence and our communication. Because we talked a lot leading up to December about how many work days there were left.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah. And at the same time, we started this podcast today by talking about the fact that you and I haven't been in the office for a week.
True.
So I don't think it's about leveraging all of your energy every single day to achieve the things that you want to achieve. Like, we are not here to work. We are also here to live, right? What's the phrase? I don't live to work. I work to live.
Work to live.
Yeah. So I just think that it's rooted in our cadence, i.e., we get up and go to work every day. And then we're present where our feet are. So I would argue that you have to be really effective with your time. We're not perfect at it, but we really try to be very intentional about achieving the goals for the day within a certain time frame, so that when you leave here, you can go and be present where your feet are outside of this office and business, right? So I think it's rooted in our cadence and our standards. And then it's rooted in communication, because you can't just tell someone something once and expect everything to unfold the way you want it to. You know, Gary always says to read the MREA book 12 times. Now people are really just saying, well, read it once a year, right, in perpetuity. Because there's always something different that you're going to capture from it, and or things that you need to relearn because you got distracted. And so the continual communication patterns that we have here, I think, are also part of the system to make sure that we stay attached to the things that we need to do, so that when we leave here, we can go be who we need to be.
So I love all that. And so if we're closing out here, a final thought would be is a new year doesn't necessarily change you.
No.
Right? But it will absolutely reveal whether your environment, your systems, your standards, your models are working.
Because this is the time to review all those things.
Right. And either they're working or one of them are holding you back, preventing you from getting where you want to be.
Yeah.
Right. And so final words before, coming up the new year, what couple things are exciting? New year, new us, but don't mean to, seriously.
Yeah.
We got some big things on the horizon.
Yeah.
So what are we, as the More Real Estate Group, what are we looking forward to come 2026?
I think that we're not always in hiring mode. And I think that we're in hiring mode right now.
Okay. What do you mean? Hiring like staff, ops, agents?
I mean, primarily agents and showing partners, but with that, we'll have to beef up the support system of the staff as well. So I think that one thing we're looking forward to is growing very intentionally with the right people, not just anybody. And continuing to operate in, I guess, a life by design system of plugging in and unplugging.
Love it.
Working hard, playing hard, and loving hard, like we always talk about.
That's it. So our next chat will be around our word of the year, which we're going to choose next week already.
Yep.
And I'm sure we're going to dive deep. I think maybe we'll even go on a little road show within the office and talk to some of our team members about the word of the year and what it means to them.
We definitely do.
And looking forward to that. And we'll see you all next year.
See you next year.